Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. NPR reports that Syria's Kurds are experiencing profound uncertainty and a sense of abandonment by the U.S. following the fall of Bashar al-Assad in late 2024. After aiding the U.S. military in defeating ISIS, suffering approximately 10,000 casualties, Kurdish forces in northeastern Syria saw their autonomous region come under pressure in January. Syrian government forces retook territory amid Turkish-backed opposition advances. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire halted the fighting, but its terms, which include Syrian government control over Kurdish-held borders, security, and oil fields, remain largely unimplemented, leaving the Kurds in a precarious state. Many displaced families, like those now sheltered in a vacant school in Qamishli, describe harsh living conditions and the emotional toll of repeated displacement and loss. Some express deep disillusionment, believing the U.S. effectively green-lighted their adversaries' advance by declaring its diminished need for Kurdish assistance against ISIS. One displaced father, who tragically lost his 15-year-old daughter in the conflict, reflects a widespread sentiment of betrayal among the community. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets across the United States on Friday to participate in May Day, International Workers' Day, rallies. These demonstrations were organized against the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran and in defense of labor and immigrant rights. Protests and marches occurred in nearly 30 major U.S. cities, including Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Demonstrators voiced opposition to government policies, with slogans such as "Stop War on Iran," "ICE out of our cities," and "Workers United will never be defeated." Speakers highlighted concerns about the war's cost, its impact on civilians, and domestic issues like the immigration crackdown. Mayors and union leaders also addressed crowds, pledging support for labor and immigrant rights and calling for policies that benefit working people. The events drew parallels to historical labor movements and immigrant-led demonstrations in the U.S., according to Xinhua.net. 联合早报 reports that companies across the United States and Europe are increasingly turning to temporary workers to sustain operations, largely due to ongoing economic instability and the transformative impact of artificial intelligence, AI. This shift signifies a deferral in permanent hiring as employers navigate an uncertain global geopolitical and economic landscape. Human resource service firms highlight that businesses are opting for contract workers as they assess how AI will reshape their workforce needs. This cautious approach is reflected in overall weak corporate hiring, although the recruitment of temporary positions has shown better performance compared to permanent roles. For instance, Robert Half, a human resource consulting firm, noted that while its temporary staff business revenue decreased by 5% year-over-year in March, this was a smaller decline than the 7% quarterly drop, and by early April, it had only slightly decreased by 1%. In contrast, revenue from assisting companies with permanent employee recruitment fell by 6% in March and 7% in early April. Recent U.S. employment data further supports this trend, indicating a slight increase in temporary worker numbers since December, with month-over-month performance outperforming the broader non-farm employment market. Al Jazeera reports that Japan's Prime Minister Sane Takaichi has pledged deeper energy cooperation with Vietnam during her visit to Hanoi. Meeting with her Vietnamese counterpart Lee Min-hung, Takaichi signed 6 agreements covering various sectors including infrastructure, agriculture, and space. A key focus of the discussions was economic security, with both nations agreeing to strengthen coordination to ensure stable supplies and reinforce supply chains for critical minerals. The leaders also reaffirmed the importance of peacefully resolving disputes in the South China Sea, a region where both Japan and Vietnam share concerns regarding China's territorial claims. Japan further committed to assisting Vietnam with crude oil supplies for its Nissan refinery and petrochemical complex under the $10 billion Power Asia initiative, especially as Middle East conflicts drive up oil prices and disrupt supply chains. Takaichi's trip aims to deepen bilateral ties, with her scheduled to meet President Salim and deliver a keynote speech on Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. An Indonesian research team has discovered that whale sharks, Rhynchodon typus, migrate across at least 13 countries and international waters, highlighting the critical need for conservation strategies that extend beyond national borders. As reported by Antara, the study, conducted by Conservasi Indonesia and other institutions, analyzed satellite tracking data from 70 whale sharks between 2015 and 2025, primarily from 4 aggregation sites in Indonesia. The findings indicate that whale sharks move between coastal areas in the open ocean, driven by food availability and environmental conditions. Researchers noted that many of their habitats lie outside protected areas, with movements spanning countries like Australia, Timor-Leste, the Philippines, and high seas regions. This extensive migration necessitates international cooperation for effective risk mitigation, including reducing bycatch, regulating shipping lanes, and designing sustainable marine tourism. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.